So I've noticed a rise in the amount of atheists or people that consider themselves to be non-believers, essentially taunting Christians online. If it's not like on some kind of a live stream debate, it's quite literally like this 20 versus one. It was like 20 Christians versus one New Ager video. And I feel like as a biblical scholar who focused in apologetics for a minute, I can give a little bit of insight on this because this is an issue that only Christians can stop. So the issue is that is the Christians. So the analogy I like to use is that today, 20 Christians would probably have thought that they can win a debate against one Satan the devil, literally Satan. I do believe that if there was some opportunity to come before a camera and do some sort of a debate where you have a chance to try to convert Satan himself, I do think that more than 20 Christians would have showed up attempting to do that. Because not only are they missing the Bible verse that tells you not to do these things, but they're doing it for their own glory. And that's my issue. A lot of people who are Christian are doing these things for their own glory. The best example I like to use is when I went to Atlanta one time during the World Cup. There were three different people on the corner preaching in these megaphones, and two of them were literally on the same intersection across from each other. So you just hear an echo of like, "You're going to hell, you're going to hell. If you don't do this, you don't do-" like it's like y'all are saying the same exact thing. And I'm not sure why neither of you decided to move. Neither of you were like, well, he's at this corner. I guess I can at least maybe go to a different block. No, because people really are doing this for their own glory. Now, with that being said, here's the other issue. As I said earlier, I'm a biblical scholar. I studied apologetics. All of these arguments are based on the two main atheist arguments, the problem of evil and divine hiddenness. That's what this comes to. A lot of people are like, well, where is God? Why can't we see him? Why does he, why can't we meet him? That is an argument. That is an atheist argument we talk about in universities. The problem of evil. Well, if God exists, it cannot be possible that he allows suffering, or if he does exist and allows suffering, he must not be an all-loving God. That is an argument we talk about in universities. So a lot of times people are getting on here on different live streams on YouTube or whatever and saying pieces of these arguments and baiting Christians to come on and try to solve the argument when this is an argument that's been going on for hundreds of years, if not thousands. Again, I'm going to have like on the screen and in the description like different kinds of links you can see. Like I literally just wrote a paper on this. They discuss these things. Literally, Cambridge University has an article on Plantinga's argument on Plantinga's free will defense, because that is the defense for a lot of this. Is like, oh, well, I won't get into the defenses. If you want like more information on like just an apologetics kind of video, let me know. But my point is that these are arguments you're not going to win, because there's no win. The atheists have not won this argument, and the Christians have not won this argument. The difference is that the atheists have likely heard this argument before and have an answer and have a debate. You don't. Because I've watched enough of these videos. What it usually comes out to is you saying your testimony, and they don't want to hear that. And you're going to be hurt, and your feelings are going to be hurt because no one cares. And that's just the reality of it. So I guess my point is number one, as Christians, like stop being baited. They have more of an argument because, like I said, there's biblical scholars like me. There's atheists that study this for a living. They're doing this all day. So, like, and I see it. I'll be on TikTok. I got on there one time. I couldn't sleep. It was 3 a.m. They're arguing. Hey, Christians, prove me wrong. I got back on there. It was like 5 p.m. the next day. Like that next day, they're still on there doing the same thing. They're making a career out of taunting and provoking you. You're taking the bait. So the way to stop this from happening is to stop taking the bait. Okay? And I'm not going to address the specific video much, because quite frankly, that 1 versus 20 video is like 2 hours long, And I've seen that woman enough to know how it went. Um, a lot of atheists know these things, especially the atheists that want to flex about, I was a Christian before. They know that you don't have the answers to these questions because that is the entire point of Christianity. It's based in faith. So what ends up happening is they get you because you have to explain your faith, and the entire point of faith is that there's no tangible proof of a lot of things, but you have not, as a Christian, prepared for this enough to be able to have any rebuttals. So, since they have practiced these arguments already, when someone brings up like divine hiddenness and how God does not, we can't see him all the time, you're not going to be able to have the response about how parents can't, parents don't normally watch their kids the entire time at all. And that is usually how they test if you're listening to them. And when they talk about the problem of evil, you're not going to know how to respond with about how there's really no way of knowing that if God basically had a fly swatter and stopped all evil, that that would make you happy. And from how things are today, God must know the answer to that, that it wouldn't make us all happy if he stopped all evil. And then you won't know that free will defense for the problem of evil that explains how evil is mostly at the hands of men, and if not 100% at the hands of men and not God, because men do these things, and wanting God to stop the pain and suffering from the things men do is the equivalent of saying, well, drop a bomb on these people, but don't make it hurt. Make it so it doesn't hurt. That's not real life. Why are there people suffering? Suffering can be character building. That is a whole other, that's another argument we have to that atheist argument. Suffering does build character. We don't know if there was no evil or suffering that people would have an idea of right or wrong, or an idea of how, or, that character building or how to improve. We don't know. There is no evidence of that. And the fact that you think that, the fact that an atheist would think that by things being how they want it to be, does not mean there's no God. Typically, they want things to be how they want it to be. And God just making you happy all day isn't going to fix the world's problems. There's no evidence of that. So, at the end of the day, though, since I don't think that you're probably, I mean, maybe this inspired you to become a biblical scholar. But if you don't want to do that, don't engage in these debates and just focus on yourself. I tried it a couple times just to test the waters. I was like, someone said, why doesn't God heal amputees? I said, so you want him to like regenerate the limbs? Like, he didn't have an answer. And I said, well, what about prosthetic limbs? Well, prosthetics was made by humans. I guess you guessed that you have a lot of faith in that wasn't a God idea, an idea from God that he gave to that person. So I'm saying atheism, they really have a lot, just as much faith in what they believe as Christians do in what they believe, and they are not automatically right, and they don't have all the answers. But it is much better as a Christian to take that time to meditate and pray and focus on yourself instead of giving that energy and time to an atheist. And I want to end it with this. There is a type of atheism where they choose that they do not want there to be a God. Everybody, you can't change everyone's mind. You don't know what kind of atheist this person even is. There's atheists that understand your point and just mind their business. There's atheists that do not believe there is a God. There's atheists that do not believe there is a God, but there could be something out there. There could be some kind of God. There are atheists that say there can't be a God, and I don't want there to be one. So who are you talking to? Ask, and a lot of times they get angry. They don't want to talk about what they believe. And that person got angry with me just for asking, well, what do you believe? So it's like, that's not even worth my time. Focus on yourself. Focus on learning about Jesus and the things that he's taught us. And stop paying these atheists rent. They're making careers out of baiting you guys. And it's sad to see. All right, well, thank you for watching this video on Holy Ghost Therapy. And I'll see you next time. Bye.